Hey everybody, I'm Lauren Kling and welcome to Film Threats Watch Party. We've got a great film for you today. It is called Willy'S Wonderland starring Nicolas Cage. I am so excited. We've got some of the filmmakers and the cast on. Now, if you want to know what the movie is about, well, hopefully you've watched it already, but if not, you can find it on all the major streaming players. We're going to stream the movie while we chat tonight, so get your players ready to go. We'll start that at about a quarter after. So you thought Showbiz Pizza versus Chuck E. Cheese, that whole pizza war game was gruesome. Wait till you watch Willy'S Wonderland. It stars Nicolas Cage as the janitor, a quiet drifter who's tricked into overnight cleaning duties at the now condemned Willy'S Wonderland. Some of you may remember another movie back from the 80s called Career Opportunities, about another guy who seemed to be locked into a building and had to clean when stuff went down. So let's get the ball running with the official watch party video. All right. So welcome everybody. How are you doing? What's going on? I want to hear you in the chat. Let me know what movies you've been watching. If any of you have been going out to the theaters, what kind of independent films that you've been watching lately. Let's see. We'll start with Stranger Boy 101. This movie is like the new Killer Clowns from Outer Space, a classic. Yeah. You know, and some people want to try to put this movie into the kind of genre of cute children's toys attacking adults, which it kind of is. So, yeah, let's hear what kind of movies you're watching. Out here in LA, the movie theaters are just opening up, still not ready to venture out. So for now, I'm just going to watch on my TV here at home. Before we bring on our guests, I want to talk about Award This. That's right. And rather than me ramble on about it, we're going to get this guy, John Bailey, who is the voice announcer, who's going to tell you all about it coming up on April 10th.
In a world where every award show is a fucking Zoom call, comes Award This. From your pals at Film Threat comes a celebration of true independent films. Join us on April 10th at a socially distanced drive-in. In fact, I'll be there as your announcer, wearing a hazmat suit and inside a giant Bacta tank. And prepare for a virtual award show unlike any other ever in the history of mankind, or awards kind. Award This 2021. It's happening, whether you like it or not. Drive-in live event on Saturday, April 10th. Virtual award show on Sunday, April 18th. Get tickets now at awardthis.com.
That's right. You can actually be a part of this if you're out here in Southern California on April 10th. You can get tickets to attend the event. And you can go to filmthreat.com for more information. Let me take a look at some of the comments right here. Somebody recently watched the Snyder cut of Justice League. I heard it's 4 hours long, and it's in a 4:3 aspect ratio. And some people are not thrilled with that. Okay. And then somebody else, Attack of the Dock. Wonder Woman is a lot of fun. I liked it. It was pretty good. Let's see. Somebody said there's a horror movie, Failing at Art Class. I'm just waiting for the new comedy horror, Benny Loves You. You know, I have no idea if that's really an actual movie coming out, but it sounds good. Why not? So yeah, keep the comments going. We're going to start in about another 10 minutes. Make sure you have the movie ready to go. But just like happens in Hollywood all the time, our director, Kevin Lewis, is stuck in LA traffic. So he's going to join us in a little bit. Until then, I'm going to recreate the opening scene of the movie using finger puppets. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm going to bring on the writer of the movie so we can talk all about it. His name is G.O. Parsons. Let's bring him on. How are you doing, G.O.?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing, Lauren?
Good. Thank you for coming on a few minutes earlier.
Oh, happy to.
So is it true that you actually put this movie on the blood list? And if so, can you talk about what that is and what your hope was?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I had been doing plays, and somebody advised me that the best way to further my career was to write a screenplay, and so I decided the easiest thing to write would be a horror movie. So that's where the idea for Willy's Wonderland came along, and I had made a short film. It's that opening scene where that's in the trailer, and the first fight with Ozzy the ostrich. I had shot that in a friend's garage where I was the janitor, and I had a big friend in a bear suit playing the animatronic. And literally the short film was just me just beating my friend up. And I started sending that out to just anybody that was kind of in the industry that might dig it. And
Wow.
one of the people that came across it was a lady named Kaylee Marsh, who runs the Blood List. And to get to your question, the Blood List is like the best unproduced horror movie scripts. It's a play on words of the Blacklist, which is the annual best unproduced screenplays. So it had caught her eye. She put it as a Fresh Blood Select, and that kind of gave it a little bit of notoriety as far as people figuring out what Willy's Wonderland was, and the screenplay, and was able to kind of jumpstart the whole process for sure.
What a fortuitous turn of events. So I want to go back to something you kind of said. You said it was something to further my career. So
Yeah.
what were you doing when somebody suggested you should further your career by writing a script?
I was acting in my own plays. I would put up one-act plays just to try and get some notoriety for myself as an actor. And the plays were great, except they only lasted as long as the show. Like once the show ended, the play no longer existed. And in order for people that weren't coming to the plays to see what I was doing, it needed to be on a celluloid form. So that's why I decided to take a stab at doing a horror film. But just for the people that are out there listening to me right now, like I tried to do it as cheaply as possible. And what I mean by that is, like, at the time, I didn't know this was going to be a big production. I didn't think Nicolas Cage certainly was going to be the janitor. I had written it so it could all take place in one location, Willy's Wonderland. If there were villains, they were all just these animatronic creatures, which I had planned to just kind of build some suits. Luckily, Kenneth, who's here, did a much better job than I did. And it was a way to kind of control your own destiny. I think that people need to realize, like, you have to be able to, if you want to do something, take it upon yourself to make that first step. And so that's what I was always kind of hoping for with Willy's Wonderland, and just doing the short film. It was always just a way of like taking a first step, trying something, and hopefully making something out of it. I never dreamed that it would hit like as big as it did, but it was just a first step to try and make something happen.
Interesting. Okay. So for the people who are thinking of screenwriting, who are screenwriting, or who want to do things like this, you said that you wrote this script for you to basically produce and star in and multitask in it. So when you found out that it was going to be produced and money was going to go behind it, I'm assuming that you really had to rewrite it or add a lot of things into it.
We were lucky in that, like, almost the first draft of the script that I had written was the script that Nicolas Cage read. And what was fortuitous about that is because he had read one of those first drafts and fallen in love with that draft, he was very protective of it. And he was protective of all the artists that were involved from the start. So when we went out to find financing, and when we went out to find a studio to make the film, he was always there as like the janitor, as this bodyguard who protected all of us, Kevin, myself, the producers. He was always there being the cheerleader for the script. We had Nicolas Cage in our corner, and that's why I think that Willy's Wonderland caught the imagination of people the way that it did. Wow, this guy doesn't say anything. Well, he's so like he's playing pinball in between the breaks when the creatures are trying to kill him. Like, all the notes that may have been scrubbed in the process of making the movie were protected by Nicolas Cage. So that was really cool. Some of the things obviously did change. He has a great artistic eye. Like he changed some of the animatronics and made him, he's into like lizards and dinosaurs and cool stuff like that. So he was the one that changed some of the animatronics into reptiles, like Artie the alligator and Cammy Chameleon. Those were definitely him saying like, hey, let's put a different spin on these, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, I'm excited to bring on, we've got the creature designer, Ken Hall, who's going to come on in a little bit. One, because he's smoking a cigar and he looks like he's just a natural cigar smoker. But two, because these were really cool creatures. Did you ever envision these creatures to be this put together, this freaky?
Yeah, well, one of the most important things about the movie, in talking to Kevin in the early stages, is we are both 100% on Nicolas Cage is the star of the movie, but the next star of the movie is the animatronics. And if the animatronics look corny, if they look like somebody in a suit and you can kind of see their sneakers, it's going to fall flat on its face. And so what Kenneth was able to do was create these like iconic animatronics that when you first saw the trailer, when you first saw that, like that scene where Ozzy in the trailer that kind of got everybody's attention, you know, Ozzy's just eyes are able to give that emotion, that shock, that, oh my gosh, I'm screwed look, that everybody immediately gravitated towards. And they were like, okay, these animatronics are believable. I believe I'm in this world. And that was something that was very important to myself and to Kevin, and I think the entire film for sure.
Very, very cool. There's a comment from What's a Budget, who is already thanking you for doing this and sharing the process, how it all came to pass. So
yeah, well, I'd say to What's a Budget, you know, you just gotta, you know, what a budget can just be your cell phone. Like if you have a cell phone, you can shoot a movie. So don't worry about money. Don't worry about having $1 million. You can do it with your cell phone. Just shoot something, keep it short, and then send it out to as many people as you can and try and get their attention.
Yeah. So awesome. All right. Well, let's bring on, I know we've got a whole movie to talk through, but I want to bring on some of our other guests. So first, let's bring on the composer. He also was one of the voices. Let's bring on Amoy. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Welcome.
Hey, buddy.
We're going to bring on our creature designer, Ken Hall. How are you, Ken?
Hey, good.
Wonderful. And then playing Evan, David Sheftel. How you doing?
I'm great, thanks. Hey, guys.
Hey.
So welcome, everybody. I have to say, Emois, the soundtrack is freaking amazing. And I see from the heads shaking in the room that people agree. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to creating some really different kind of music that all seem to work together.
So my background is mainly in commercial scoring, and it really worked well for Willys because obviously the jingles were, you know, a big part of the soundtrack. And so, you know, after I read the script for the first time, I just was blown away. I was like, oh my God, this is just genius. I mean, pure genius. So I just, I told Kevin, I was like, look, he had always had the idea of starting the film with the commercial. I said, why don't we start there? So I took the birthday song and created it into a little commercial piece, put it to a Chuck E. Cheese commercial, sent it off to Kevin, and he was just like, oh my gosh, I love this. And everybody kind of got hooked on that. And then that's how I sort of locked myself into the project.
Yeah, and you've got the kind of songs where you really start to learn and love the lyrics. The birthday song, Willie's jingle, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And then probably one of my favorite songs is Willy's Wonderland, because to me it reminds me of Nowhere Girl from Cutting Crew, like those.
Nice.
Sorry, Nowhere Girl by B Movie. I don't want to.
I know which one you meant. Yeah. No, yeah. The thing about the Willy's Wonderland song was for the pinball sequence. The one note the head of Screen Media, Seth Needle, had on the score, really the entire score. His main thing was that pinball sequence be like that big fight. That big warm up to the fight, that classic 80s, you know, the underdog getting ready for the big fight, the no retreat, no surrender kind of thing, you know? And so I was like, well, what if we do like a seriously 80s song, but it's a theme song? Because typically in these movies, it is like a title track, right? That's usually when the title track comes in. So that was kind of how that came about. Yeah, it's a really fun track.
All right, very cool. All right, so we're going to start the movie in just a moment. Just as a reminder, on your second screens, you will start. I'll count down. We'll play the movie. For my guests, we'll make sure that it's the volume's turned off. Otherwise, we're going to hear feedback, and the music's, I think, creepy enough on its own. If we start getting the feedback, it's going to make it really spooky. So on your phones, your laptops, your desktops, your old AM FM tuner radios, however you can watch the film. So get that ready. Once again, let me introduce David Sheftel. You play Evan.
I do. Sheriff Deputy Evan Olson.
Yes.
So.
I will say, Young and the Rest, co-star of Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives, David Sheftel, right?
Yep, and some voiceover in there. So I've done a lot of crazy stuff, but this was one of the most fun things I've ever been a part of. It was such a great experience. So
yeah, one thing you learn about the film business and the entertainment business, and it's the same everywhere else, you're doing everything. You know, you're like Gio says, you're an actor one day, you're writing something another, you're doing soaps one day, David, and then you're doing voiceover. We all kind of go through that, right?
Exactly. So yeah, look, I've had a really fun career so far, and hopefully it continues, but this has been the absolute highlight of my career so far, and I've loved every minute of it.
All right, awesome. All right, we're going to start the film. I know, Ken, for you can kick back because your creatures don't come in for the first 15 minutes or so. So just hang out. And so let's pull our phones, our laptops. Let's turn
Lauren,
on. Yes.
Lauren, I just wanted to let you know real quick. Kevin just texted me. He's in traffic. He said he'll be around in about 10 minutes.
Yeah,
okay.
we started the show. He called me from somewhere on an LA freeway.
Okay.
I see Chris Warner is about to jump in, so as soon as he gets his audio and video going, we'll start. But let's get our movie ready to go. I've got my phone right here, so I'm going to press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. All right. So that's on silent. So that now we'll have that on in the background as the credits come on. Oh, you've got a fan. Evan is a great character, one of my faves.
Thank you very much. Thanks to Gio's wonderful writing.
No problem.
Vane, again, is talking about the soundtrack, how it really sets the mood. So is this your first soundtrack that you've made for a...
This is my first feature-length film. Yeah. I've done a few other short films and things, but yeah, this is my first feature.
Was this a challenge? Was it hard for you to think in terms of a musical arc through a whole 90-minute movie?
That was actually not the hardest part. The hardest part was just how massive the soundtrack of Willys is, because I'm doing the character songs, voicing Willy. Also, I mean, if you listen to the soundtrack, there's every genre, right? So it's different than most other films where you have a kind of a singular theme or genre that you're kind of going for, a particular instrument set. On this, it was all, from country music with Head, Shoulders, Knees, Toes to, to kids sing-along songs to, orchestral to electronic, all over the place. So it was definitely challenging in that sense, but so much fun. I mean, it was a blast.
Yeah. Any plans to release the soundtrack on like marbled vinyl or marbled like bloody red vinyl?
But funny you should ask, because that was the conversation today, that we are going to do a vinyl release for sure. It will be probably around either Record Store Day or Halloween.
You heard it here first. This is a Film Threat exclusive.
It is.
Boy, Gio, David, Ken, anything you want to announce for the very first time?
The lady on screen with the curly hair is the wife of producer Brett Kramer.
You heard it here first. Another Film Threat exclusive. Keep these coming. I think if we get 5, an angel gets its wings. I don't know how that goes. So, all right. So we're watching this opening clip now. I think, Gio, did you say that some of this was your 1-minute promo?
No, we'll get to that. So this wasn't when I first wrote it. This was the opening scene right here where the car was driving in. But in the very early stages, Kevin, myself, a few of the directors, a few of the producers had talked, and they wanted, because it was a horror movie, to have an opening grab. And so we wrote up that scene that we just watched, which was the mom and the dad getting brutally slaughtered there inside of Willy's Wonderland. But originally, it was just this scene right here. The janitor just driving down the open road when kaboom, his tires explode.
Right. And this was all filmed in Atlanta or outside Atlanta?
Yes.
Yep.
So when was this shot?
I believe this was, they did all the outside stuff first. So this was the first couple days of shooting in February of 2020, luckily enough, or I guess.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We just
and I got to tell you, as a former Southern boy, I had forgotten how damn cold it was. It was. Oh, and you, David, I remember I was out there that last night. Fortunately, I could get inside a van, but God, I can't remember being that cold for such a prolonged period.
Well, as a California boy, I was freezing. I didn't know what. I'd never come across anything that cold. It was one of the coldest nights, and we were just trying not to show my breath on screen.
And the very last night too, which I felt bad about because people, we were out on an abandoned dark road.
Right.
Started shutting the lights down. It was like pitch black, and you couldn't say goodbye to everybody. So yeah.
You know what? It seems like more times than not, the last night of a low budget feature is always at night. It's the coldest, and you're running behind, and there's no time to say goodbye.
Well, there was one time where I was on a stage, and I mean an actual theatrical stage in Winnipeg, Manitoba. First unit had already gone to the bar to have their wrap party, and we were trying to cut off a rubber head. The last shot of the night. Yeah.
Ken, what other projects that we've heard of have you done creature work on?
Creature work on. I did the Puka for the Hulu series for Blumhouse.
Okay.
And I just did a really low budget indie film. I built the creature single-handedly for it, called the movie's called Sorority of the Damned.
Wonderful. So this scene we're looking at here, this is Nick with Rick, correct? Who plays Tex?
That's Chris, and that's that's Jed, the tow truck driver.
Oh, thank you. That's right, Chris as Jed. We were trying to get him on, but he's not on yet. So it looked like that he was that he had like a Slim Jim in his mouth. Can anybody confirm or deny?
I don't know if he was originally supposed to smoke a cigar or something like that. But he wound up, I think, going through a case of Slim Jims throughout the shoot.
Yeah, we introduced his character in the script saying like a big brute with a jerky stick in his mouth. I think that's how he was described.
That's great writing. And then is it true that Kaylee, who plays Kathy, went through like 80 pieces of chewing gum?
That I don't know.
I'd have to assume so. She's blowing bubbles in every scene.
These are the reasons why you have a producer and a director to interview, because they can answer these hard-hitting questions like, is this true about the gum? Is this true about the Slim Jim?
The Slim Jim, yeah. Well, that way I can confirm for sure it was a Slim Jim and it's not a cigar. It does look like a cigar for sure when he's chewing on it. But yeah no, it's a jerky stick.
Well,
didn't it say greasy meat stick or something, Gio, in the script? A greasy meat stick or something?
Something like that. Yeah, some sort of weird adjective I was using to describe meat.
It was supposed to be a cigar, but Ken took them all.
So we've already got people asking about sequels. So Gio, this will probably be a question for you. Have you started writing a script? Do you have ideas for a sequel?
Yeah, you know what, we've had talks. It's not so much of like, does it want to happen? I think everybody does want it to happen. It's just logistically, will we be able to pull it off anytime soon? And that's the question that honestly I don't know yet. Is logistically, can we pull it off soon? So right now it's not a matter of success. The movie did extremely well, so don't worry about any of that stuff. Keep buying the Blu-rays and the DVDs, obviously, but no, the movie did great, and the hunger for a sequel is certainly there. It's just a logistics thing, but we're working really hard. Hopefully we can make something happen.
Yeah, I believe you can actually go to a website to get the shirts, or they're sold out, but I'm hoping you guys are making more shirts.
Well, yeah, just like was announced with that vinyl record, they just did a deal for franchising with all the toys. So toys and shirts and all that kind of fun stuff is going to be happening in the next year. And yeah, there's more shirts. Hopefully we can pump those out. You know, they went on sale Thursday the 11th, and the movie was coming out on the 12th. And by the time the 12th rolled around, we were sold out of shirts.
Well, I do know somebody who's done musical scores for commercials for some of the product release. So I'm hoping to relive my Kenner toy memories from the 80s. Just saying.
It's awesome.
So let's see. So this scene right here, we've got Chris and the janitor.
Well, we needed a reason why the janitor had to stay. So you had to come up with, hey, we're not going to take any plastic cards, and the internet's out, so you can't do it. You know, like why else is he forced to stay there to work? Had to give him a reason to not have cash. And I never have cash on me. Like I never use it. I always have my credit card, and this is always kind of a fear. But actually, this opening scene is a fear that happened to me. I was driving through Nevada because Willy's Wonderland, I know we shot it in Atlanta, is supposed to take place in Nevada. And I was on the freeway, the 50, and I got a nail in my tire. And I was out in the middle of absolutely nowhere, didn't have any money. And I had to fishtail my car with this flat tire, like all the way into Yerington. And then I went to this auto shop that we are at right now in the film, and Jed was able to fix my tire, luckily. So yeah, that's where this scene came from.
Wow. Talk about writing based on what you know.
It was, I was young. I had a girlfriend with me at the time, and we were driving back. It was a storm. We had just gotten that flat tire. I was so scared out of my mind that entire 3-hour drive that we were going to break down again and die. But I had to be super stoic, like the janitor, the entire time. Are we okay? Yeah, we're totally fine. Everything's cool. Don't worry about it at all.
So although we haven't gone inside yet, my hat's off to art directors, set decorators, and all of those who had to move a lot of stuff and clean a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and it all had to be done right after the other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was a physical location. I believe I heard. I don't know this for a fact. You can ask the guys when they show up. But it was an old bowling alley.
Yes.
And obviously the art department built the facade up there, which even has working lights and stuff. So a little footnote, by the way, the art department had to come up with the character drawings from my designs, not the other way around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they, and I was trying all along to make sure that the characters worked as something that was originally designed for kids. I knew I could make them scary afterwards, but I knew there was going to be these flashbacks and commercials and stuff like that. So that was the trick. And some I felt were more successful than others. I was not a fan of Cammy Chameleon, but we'll talk maybe more about that later.
Hey, yeah, no worries. Now, these aren't CGI, right, Ken? I just want to confirm that this is great.
Absolutely not. From my first conversation with Kevin and the producers, it was always, they always wanted practical. They weren't sure, what ways we could make what are basically costumes look like animatronics. And I said from the first moment, I can do so much, but your performers have to sell it. You know, so and
Yeah.
I think all the people in the suits who were local stunt people did a great job.
Yeah, they did an amazing job. Anastasia says the creature designs were absolutely brilliant.
Thank you, Anastasia.
So now you can add that onto your resume when you apply for your next job working.
By Anastasia.
Let's see. There was another comment that I wanted to throw up here. Oh, Bobby wanted to know, this is for anybody, how the name for the restaurant Willys Wonderland came about. I'm assuming, Gio, this would have been from you.
Yeah, well, originally it was called Wally's Wonderland, and I did it based on there's a place called where I grew up outside of Boomtown, which was kind of like a family fun center. So Boomtown, when you're driving into Nevada from California, there's a place called Boomtown, and so that's where I had modeled Willys Wonderland after. And yeah, the original name was Wally's Wonderland, but we changed a vowel and made it Willys.
Did anybody here in the group ever go to a Chuck E. Cheese or a Showtime Pizza?
Oh, certainly.
All the time. Yeah.
Somehow I missed ever going to either one of those, but here in Southern California, we had something called Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor. Same concept, throw a lot of sugar at little kids and make it loud and exciting and fun and messy, and they'll be back every year.
Well, I was working way back in Florida at an animatronics company, and the restaurant shows were just coming about with Showbiz and so forth. And then until I had nieces, I'd kind of lost track of all that. And then, of course, I was treated, using the word loosely, to Chuck E. Cheese.
So, Ken, you actually worked on some of the famous animatronic characters we grew up to?
Not for any of the restaurants. You know, the company I was at that's now, I think, primarily doing dark rides was looking at the restaurant thing, you know, and I was hoping for something like that too while I was there.
I think a few of us were about to shed a tear if you were to start talking about some of the characters you designed. That's awesome. I don't know if anyone's heard, there was a podcast series about the pizza war between those two companies. It was fascinating. So, so pretty cool. So we are introduced to the townsfolk, the kids right here.
Yeah, we had to have fodder in the movie. Got to have some body count. So let's introduce our teenagers.
Yes.
So, Gio, did you have an idea for each of the backgrounds, the stories for these characters at first, or was it just kind of, I know I need some characters to be in the mix?
Well, first it was bring them into the mix, but then kind of give them their own horror movie trope. You know, so they're all kind of set up as there's the nerd, the slutty girl, the kind of leader guy, Liv, you know, they all kind of have they're supposed to be horror movie trope teens is the way that they're supposed to be. And I think that they were portrayed on screen.
Got it.
But yeah, one of the things with a horror movie, when I was talking about this, is like you can't have a horror movie where it's just Nicolas Cage in there beating him up. It was going to get the teens were used as a device twice. Once to be the fodder, obviously, and secondly, to show how strong the animatronics could be outside of the janitor.
Yeah.
She hates this place.
Yeah, you can tell. So haven't even talked about this guy, this up-and-comer, Nick Cage, whose first job in film business is cleaning signs and sweeping. So congrats on you guys pulling in this new kid.
I think he's got a future for sure.
He does have a future. Now, I got to say, the idea that he had no speaking lines whatsoever, would you say, and I would argue, as Die Hard is a Christmas movie, that Nicolas Cage's grunts do not count as dialogue. So I always love having these kind of wars and conversations about things like that.
Yeah, he always had grunts and sighs and stuff like that in the script. He can talk, he can say whatever he wants. He just doesn't have any reason to. But definitely, anytime one of these things, like when the kids spill blood, or when Gus writes in blood, "I'm going to kill you" or whatever it is on the mirror, he does have a visceral reaction of just like, oh.
Was that a line, Gio? Was that a line reading for Nick Cage?
I was not going to give him any line readings.
Nick, we need you to give a little more. Can you do that again, Gio? I think can you do that for us? There we go. That's what we want, Nick. We want more like that. All right. So it looks like he safely made it off of the freeways of Los Angeles. Before we bring him on, is there anything embarrassing you want to talk about our fearless director, Kevin Lewis, before we bring him on? No, nobody dares. All right. All the way from the safety of not being on the freeway, let's bring on Kevin. How are you, Kevin?
Hey, guys. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It's good to see everybody.
Good to see you too, man.
Welcome. So we're just watching your movie right here. Nick Cage is in the kitchen, and his phone goes off, and he goes to these drinks. And Kevin, I don't know if you want to talk about what are these drinks? What's the deal with the drinks and his phone going off?
Well, it's his watch goes off, and it's Punch Pop, right? So it's a fistful of caffeine to your kisser. So it's his energy drink. You know, Janner loves his energy drink. Loves to take breaks.
His vice. Kevin, I just want to tell you, we are right. I'm about at 19 minutes right now.
Okay.
Just
cool.
So if you can scan through and catch up, that's where we are.
I'm good. I'm right here.
Yeah, I agree. It was a wonderful silent performance. I haven't seen performance from Nick Cage like that since City of Angels, when he's at Grand Central Market in downtown LA and he picks up that pear and kind of looks at it.
Yeah.
I thought that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many fantastic movies Nick's done, right? So, I mean, he's a genre to himself, man. So right now he's sweeping in Gio, we right? He's sweeping.
Yeah, he's mopping. He's about to fight Ozzy.
Mopping his hand to the Ozzy. Okay, I'm good. Yeah.
So, Lauren, this is the first. So this was the original scene that I shot in that garage. It was just this mopping scene, and I had a bear costume that I used. But Ozzy was always my favorite animatronic one because he's just so creepy looking and so scary. I think of all the animatronics, even though he just gets his ass kicked right here, he's like always been my personal favorite.
Ken, can you talk about the puppet?
Yeah, no, I was about to though, because as you recall in our first conversation, I said, well, I see an ostrich in here, and there is no physical way to put an actor in a ostrich costume that looks remotely like an ostrich. Yeah. So, and I suggested at the time we do like a green suit Bunraku, and there is actually two puppeteers standing behind him and holding up his head. It was a very soft, flexible neck, and they have been beautiful. This is the only real digital work in the movie, because but the digital work was to remove the operators. So there's a puppeteer behind him that's taking the steps and then operating the head with the blink and bite mechanism and all that. So this was something, I've been wanting to do. It's not that it hasn't been done before, but I personally wanted to do something like this, with the puppeteer on the set. The puppet is full size and interacting. Actually, in this case, the moment Nick is interacting with it, he literally knocked an eye out, and that was not planned for. He knocked an eye out, and of course, as even though I was fully aware of the future of this guy and the others, it was still kind of tough to watch.
Was this part when Nick pulls that metallic like spine? Was that an ode to Terminator?
Well, actually, that was coming. That was coming in later. But no, our puppeteer, the main puppeteer, BJ Geyer, is also a builder, and he put together some stuff on location that was just great, including that piece that Nick pulls out.
And here comes David.
Somehow,
Yeah.
the best part of the movie, I don't know who they are, but it's very kind.
I gotta say, I gotta give props in this scene to the red phone.
The bat phone there.
It looks like the phone from a segment in Mario Bava's Black Sabbath.
That's awesome. I'll take that.
Yeah, well, because why have a black receiver on a red phone? Usually only Italians do that. So
yeah.
Now, Kevin, can you talk about? I want to talk about the wonderful actor David Sheftel, but the woman that he plays against is been in a lot of stuff. We've seen her around a lot.
Yeah, Beth Grant is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, she's incredible, and she was so much fun to work with. Beth, she just revs up every take you do. She just gets more and more, right, Dave? She just gets more and more into it, and she was just fantastic. Was always bringing ideas for the sheriff, and just a dream to work with.
She really is. And, Kevin's so collaborative. That was my first day on set, that scene. And basically, Kevin says, all right, we got to start annoying Beth. So let's come up with stuff. So we were coming up with the chair stuff, clicking and making noise. So it was just so much fun. But Beth is just such a consummate professional, wonderful human being, as well as an actress to work with. So it was awesome.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Joseph, who did some work on the film. I think some of you guys know him.
What's up, Joseph?
Oh, Joseph! God, Joseph was our set dresser, and he's like me. He's a big monster fan, as is our star Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, isn't this Nick's like 9th horror movie that he's made?
Probably. I know I hadn't seen it when we were doing this, but I later watched Color Out of Space, which is a really good film.
Can I say about Joseph, he did such a great job on this movie, and he and Nick really bonded over Godzilla. They love Godzilla. And I think Joseph gave him some Godzilla comics, but Nick he had a Godzilla jacket, and Nick gave Joseph that jacket.
Wow.
It was the coolest thing. Yep.
Really beautiful too.
Kaiju love right there.
That's like getting a Coke bottle from oh boy, now I forgot that commercial back from the day. Was that Mean Joe Green? Mean Joe Green, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
So I can picture Nick going, "Here, kid," handing him his jacket.
This scene in the bathroom was my homage to Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad, and I just love so it's like how we make cleaning interesting, right? So I love this scene too when he comes out and he hears Aaron, Moi, amazing, voice, and Willie, just great. And Ken, those creations you did are just fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
You did such a great job, man.
Thank you. I plead the fifth on Cammie, as I mentioned before. She's not a favorite of mine, but the rest of them, I remember the first day, and it was actually before most of the creatures started working. We had Siren Sarah out at location, and when she got into that thing, it's like, oh boy, this is good old fashioned nightmare fuel.
So, Kevin, we've got a question here that I'm wondering: the constant change of clean shirts, was that planned?
Well, Gio, you can say it. No, I mean, I could talk. Whatever. Go ahead.
No, I put in the script that he wore the Willy's Wonderland. I said, this is the wussiest shirt imaginable, but the janitor looks like a badass in it. So that was all I put in as far as the shirt goes. And then Kevin's idea to change up the shirts, both from just a marketing for a marketing perspective and from continuity, I think was genius.
Thank you. Yeah, the idea of it was gunk, right? He's getting the black gunk on him, and he's got so OCD, so it's like he has to change, right? So that was the whole gag, was the shirts and the punch pop and everything. It kind of fit in the janitor's, way of working at Willys,
I was actually disappointed the first time he didn't put on a new shirt. Later on, after the third or fourth killing, he kind of just kept it. And I was like, no, where's the new shirt?
I think that, and this Gus fight is like my favorite fatality for sure when he curb stomps him. But I think that one of the things Kevin and I talked about early on in regards to the shirt, in regards to the janitor, is that movies need iconic heroes and iconic villains. And giving the janitor that Willy's Wonderland shirt and the duct tape on his face, and here he's got a plunger in his hand, it gives him that iconic quality that you can dress up for Halloween or instantly know who the janitor is, as opposed to just some guy watching, wearing a t-shirt and jeans. Oh, here comes the curb stomp. Yeah, let's enjoy it.
And this is interesting. Gio, you're right. In fact, I relayed that also when I was talking to Nick, was we got to make this iconic. We wanted to have kids dress up like, Halloween. And we were spraying so much gunk that this is how cool Nick is. He slipped in the shot and I yell, cut. And he's like, no, keep rolling. And he gets up and he just keeps going on Gus, and it just shows you how awesome Nick is,
Yeah, I remember when Nick was doing the fencing moves with the plunger, he came out between takes and said, "This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done."
What was that gunk made out of? At least the stuff that hit his face.
It's all Methicil dyed black, but we also use a similar concoction. Actually, it's not Methicil; it's Karo syrup and black dye. But then the food dye, and then the blood is made the same way, just a different color.
Got it. All right, we already have somebody dressing up as the janitor.
Yeah. Nice.
I think we're going to see a lot of janitors and a lot of Siren Sarahs for Halloween.
I think for many of us who may not always have the time to do these elaborate costumes, the easy ones that are the ones that are most popular. So the shirt and the tape around the belly area.
Well, you got to get two shirts, right? You need a clean one, and then you need the one that's covered in gunk and ripped up and blood and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Probably why they sold out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back to the pinball machine, which Kevin, you may know more about this, but I understand it was custom made.
It was custom made, and Molly, the production designer, had her friend do it. It's funny because we went to see Color Out of Space, and I met him for the first time, and he was working on it nonstop, and he did such a fantastic job with it. It's such a character in the movie,
There's a article about it. If you just search Twitter, search Willy's Wonderland pinball machine, there's an in-depth article about its creation. It's definitely a fun read.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I noticed that the backboard was custom. Was the play field also custom?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I definitely want to know how to get into the secret VIP party where you have that pinball just so I can play it.
We were planning to have the pinball, like, go to the conventions, but then COVID came, but that was the whole plan.
And what was left of the characters, too.
I know. I felt so sad. Those characters, they just got mutilated.
Yeah, but so they're being kept, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Landmark, the studio group, has them, production company.
So you don't have any clean versions of the costumes now, or the characters? They're just kind of the beat up ones.
No, we only have one each, right, Ken?
Wow.
Absolutely. I think we had a second Siren Sarah mask, but beyond that, it was we had basically 2 months to design and build these 8 characters, and we were still designing once we started building, which was after Thanksgiving 2019. And I had lengthy conversations with you guys about, okay, I know in the movie industry, it's not traditional to shoot in sequence, but when it comes to the characters, it has to be this way.
Yep. There were rules that we had to follow in order to get this thing done. And I remember talking to Ken on our first meeting, and he said, you know, you get one chance and then you're done with these. So it's like, okay, we got to get everything. And so I designed a thing with my DP called Rage Cage or Cage Rage, where every time he would fight the animatronics, we would shoot at 18 frames per second. We would shake the camera, and then we would have guys having flashlights into the lens. So you had those like cosmic lens flares. So just give it kind of something different, you know, every time when the janitor went off on one of the creatures.
Question for Moi. When did you start the process of writing the music for each of the characters? Did you get like a character breakdown or drawings before principal photography started?
No, I pretty much started on the characters during post-production, the character, their individual like themes. If you notice in the movie, each character, their theme is their fight song, which is mirrored by the rock and roll version of the janitor fighting back. So when you hear like Ozzy, it's dun 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 dun, and then when he fights back, it's dun 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 dun. And so all of them are that kind of back and forth. And it was just, you know, that was kind of the concept that we came up with. We thought was kind of cool.
This is the kind of movie where you could do like a Comic-Con and all-day panels just on music, artwork, costumes, the pinball. Who would win in like character versus character if they were video games?
Yeah, I've got about 100,000 of those questions on Twitter. Who's stronger?
And let me say, I did hear your birthday song on the set.
I was going to say that. Yep.
Had to do it for playback, and let's just say it haunted all our nightmares.
Kevin told me that he called me from the set, and he's like, "Dude, everybody's walking around just with the birthday song, and they're like, damn it."
It was cool because Edward put it together, and he put it on a Chuck E. Cheese commercial. And so when I met Nick for the first time, and we did wardrobe fittings, I had a Chuck E. Cheese commercial, and I had the birthday song on, and he dug it. And then, like Ken said, we were playing on the set for everybody, and there were points where we needed like, you know, little punch-ins and stuff, and it's like the birthday song would play. It's like, okay, no more birthday song. We're just doing little punch-ins here.
Where did you find your DP, Dave Newbert?
Oh, Dave's so fantastic. I met him through Steve Gaynor, another DP friend of mine. And Steve was originally going to shoot the movie, and he got caught up on his show. And he said, you know, I'll never forget what he said. He goes, call Dave Newbert, you make something great. And I met Dave, and we just hit it off. And we were talking about, we want this movie to be like punk rock and a rave at 2 a.m, you know. And he was with me every step of the way, man. He's fantastic. So we wanted to make it the idea of making a colorful, dark movie, you know, because it's dark subject matter with the kids and everything. But as you go to these child places, they're very colorful, you know. So that's what I wanted. I always say it would be colorful, dark, you know. And Molly did such a great job with the sets, you know, her team.
Yeah, it's amazing work.
One of the things I talk to everybody about, it's like when you're watching the movie, you feel like you're inside Willy's Wonderland. It doesn't seem like a set. It doesn't seem like a studio. It means you're just feel like you're in there.
David, how did you find out about the movie? Was this script that you were given the script by an agent or somebody else thought of you?
You know, I was brought in to audition for the role, so I had to put myself on tape. So I was given my first scene and my last scene, and I was just sort of told the concept, nothing else. And I sort of had to go off of that and basically audition for the role, and was lucky enough to get it. But once I got the script and read the whole thing, it was just, I was so fortunate and so happy to be a part of it. It was such a fun idea. Like we were talking about earlier, you know, I went to Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, and, you know, Gio, like you were saying, it's like Vegas for kids. It's like more tokens.
More Vegas for kids. I love that.
We got the floor show with the animatronics, but they were always creepy. And anytime some kid had his birthday, you know, with the animatronics, you're like, can we get back to the games? So yeah, but it was basically just the Great American Audition. That's how I got involved, and I was so fortunate to do it.
That's awesome. Kevin, did you have casting take care of most of the roles? Were you involved in casting?
I mean, I was involved. You know, we had a lot of the kids audition for the roles. Actually, I think Aaron auditioned for another role. Christian, he auditioned for another role, but he got Aaron. He auditioned for Bob. And Terrell came in and he read it. These were all auditions on videos because we were in Georgia at the time. And I saw videos, and Terrell just was amazing, you know, and he brought so much life to that part, and was like, we got to get him. So, yeah, we were casting the kids like right up before we started shooting.
Awesome. Yeah, Wizzy says people privately own the Chuck E. Cheese animatronics. I don't know what the name of the podcast is, but if anybody out there happens to know the name of that podcast about the Chuck E. Cheese versus Showbiz Pizza, I'd love to share it, because it's always fascinating hearing these behind the scene, competitions.
I was a Showbiz kid myself, so
yeah, I never went to one, but there was also one out here on the highway to Anaheim, Bullwinkle's Pizza.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was that Rocky and Bullwinkle? Was that Rocky and Bullwinkle?
I assume so. Yeah. I said, I never went.
Ken, where did you grow up?
Jacksonville, Florida.
And in Jacksonville, how much were horror movies and the horror genre a part of your teen years?
It was a huge part of it, because my neighborhood theater would run double, triple features, and they dug up prints that movies that were 10 or more years old.
Wow.
And what I didn't realize is all the regional distributors from the major studios were in Jacksonville, but also a regional distributor that handled all the independents from AIP down to the crappiest drive-in flicks, you know. And these prints were beautiful. They weren't all scratched up like you'd imagine them being. And I saw stuff in Jacksonville on the big screen that my friends out here that are my age, grew up out here in LA, said, I never saw that on a screen. I saw it later on TV. So I was very blessed to be grow up where I was.
And how about for Moi, were you a horror genre fan growing up?
Oh, big time, yeah. And I actually grew up in near Santa Cruz, which was right by the boardwalk. And the very first Chuck E. Cheese ever was on Coozer in San Jose, and I grew up going there constantly, as well as Bullwinkle, which was nearby as well. So animatronics between the boardwalk, Chuck E. Cheese, and Bullwinkle were a big part of my childhood. So it's pretty awesome to go back to that world, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, horror was a huge part of my childhood as well. Horror movies back when they had video stores.
Yeah.
So some people are wondering what happened to Chris Gore. He's the fearless leader of Film Threat. So he's currently on a yacht somewhere in the Suez Canal. I heard that it kind of jackknifed somewhere in the water, and he's preventing all of our electronics from getting through the Suez Canal. So that's where Chris is. He sends his regards. So thanks for that shout out.
If you're watching, I've known him since he first came to Hollywood.
Oh, really? That's awesome. So I know this question has been answered before, but Alan wanted to know if anyone else was planned for the janitor before Nick Cage. But Gio, I think he was top of your mind.
There's been only two janitors, myself and Nicolas Cage. So there was never a casting process for Nick. You know, I had done the short as the janitor, and then Nick Cage was the first person that we all went to. And I've told the story. Kevin knows it. We sent it to him on a Friday. His manager and also a producer of the film named Mike Nylon read it on a Friday night, gave it to Nick then. And on Monday morning, like 2 days later, after the weekend, Nick said, when am I clocking in for work?
In fact, he said, I think his thing was, we don't get scripts like this much anymore, which was an ode to Geo because he just wrote such a cool, interesting, unique project, you know? And I just thought that was a great sign when he said that.
Definitely. And I mentioned it before you were on, Kevin, but there was never a better defender of Willy's Wonderland than Nicolas Cage. You know, it was as much of a passion project, I believe, to him as it was to Kevin, myself, and everybody else on the screen right now.
Agreed. He's very loyal. You know, he read the script and just wanted to do it from the get, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
But there's other, you know, the thing is, and about that, we talked to Kevin. Kevin and I had many conversations about this. There's not like somebody you can just think of off the top of your head that can pull off the character of the janitor. It had to be an iconic movie star like Nicolas Cage. And then it had to have somebody that has the acting chops to be able to carry the whole 90-minute film without saying one word and express all of the emotion, anger, or quirks or whatever that the janitor has without any sort of written dialogue. So you had to go with the greatest living actor of all time in order to pull off the role. You couldn't just get Tom Arnold and throw a Willy's Wonderland shirt on him and say, you're the janitor. No, it had to be our dude.
I have some ideas of actors in my mind who kind of ruin a really good idea, but I'll save them for myself. But we all kind of have those movies where maybe we see the trailers and we're excited until we see who they cast as the lead. And then we're kind of like, But you guys did a great job. You know, the kids in the town are all wonderfully cast. They each have their own kind of reason for being there.
Yeah, that was very important to me. Was I knew this was a tightrope movie, right? It was a movie that, you know, we got Nick, so it was like the janitor is going to be fine, but it was the creatures and the kids that really kept me up at nights, you know. And before I met Ken, I would text Geo like, you know, what about this? And then he'd send me like this just mangled picture of like an Easter bunny, you know, with like one floppy ear. I remember that one shot, you know, you sent me. And I was like, yeah, we're going to do this for cheap, you know, because this isn't CG land. This isn't, you know, we don't have a huge, big budget. But to me, the cheaper the look, the better, you know. And Ken masterfully got it. You know, when we met and talked about the creatures, we were just on the same page from beginning, you know. I was so excited. It was the crew was so excited. It was like Christmas when the creatures arrived to set. They were in these big crates, and it was on a Saturday, and they were just driving up. And it's like everybody's tired. They shot the first week, and you know, we're trying to get our bearings. And I was like, no, I'm going to set. You know, and we all remember that, Ken. We all drove up there, and it was just, and we got Willy walking around, and it was just, I'll never forget that. That was one of my favorite moments, seeing those for the first time.
Yeah, well, we were seeing them for the first time, more or less. You know?
Yeah, you were too.
That first week we were in Atlanta, we were working on them, and that's why BJ was so valuable, along with Terry Fluker. And of course, I have to give a shout out for Jordan, who did work on the creatures back in LA. But then she and Kat were kind of the Gorgor girls, as I refer to them as. So they did all the bloody effects.
It looks like Joseph was excited that his character was killed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Him and his wife.
Yeah.
That's his wife he's making out with the tongue comes whipping around. They actually had the other puppeteer, who's, sorry, I can't remember her name, but she was trying to whip this rubber tongue around them. And I kept saying, you know, we always talked about doing these in reverse, but the second AD was, or rather the AD who was directing the second unit stuff, just never wanted to try that. So I think a lot of the later shots of her tongue are done digitally.
Yeah, we just did digital, and then we had the practical tongue on a couple shots.
I think it's still, I think they still managed to use it on Joseph and his wife. So I think that might be the only practical tongue.
There is nothing like strobe lights to enhance the creepy factor.
Yeah. Well, we want to do something. Gio wrote such a really cool vision of Tito's Playhouse. Originally it was, I think, Paulie's Playhouse, right? Gio was Paulie the Penguin, and I always picture like the penguin having like this laser scope, and going around like Terminator. I had all these ideas, but at the end of the day, we did Tito, which was great. And we just want to do something different. And I just love the strobe lights. I just think there's something really cool about that. And actually, that's Siren Sarah's place that we tricked, because we were going to build Tito's, but they were like, look, saving money and time. And I said, so let's just trick it out. Let's do Siren Sarah, and then we'll do Tito's. So
the strobe light adds to their supernatural abilities as well. Tito can be on the left, and all of a sudden the right, and Siren Sarah can be a normal face and then an evil, deranged face.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Did you see that? Did you catch the phone in that scene right there? I'm messing with you, David.
One thing we sadly never had the time to do was actually see. You see now, Siren Sarah's mouth is split wide open, and she's got these serrated metal teeth. We were actually going to have that happen on camera, her mouth split open, but we never wound up shooting it.
All right. So, David, for this scene, how long were you shooting this with your scene partner?
So what were we doing, Kevin, for this first one? It was several hours we were doing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was an easy day.
That was a very easy day. And this is where you get a dream come true of you're getting tossed a shotgun in a Nicolas Cage film. You're like, oh, this is exactly what I went to theater school for. So
was that your first on your first catch?
That was we did several, but I caught it every time, lucky enough. So.
Nice.
But a very cool thing, we shot that scene, and then we both Beth and I had a break. And we flew back to LA, and then we had to fly back for our next scenes, just how the scheduling went. And Beth was so kind. So she said, hey, let's work on the other scenes that we've got. So she invited me over to her house. She and her husband, Michael, they made me lunch. I met their daughter. Like, everything was just like exactly what you hope an experience would be. So it was so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. The scene of the kid getting killed in the foam pit, Kevin, you'll remember it was like, I said, guys, we still have some clean scenes to do with Tito and Siren Sarah cannot get blood on them.
Yeah.
So that was a bit challenging. We even did a air mortar blood splat on the wall just in case, but you guys decided not to use it. But that was one of the few scenes shot out of sequence. Yeah.
This is my favorite scene of the movie. I think it's Emois too. This to me represents the film, right? The zoom in on, and there was actually dialogue in the script. She's like, let me help you clean up and stuff. And it was at midnight on a Thursday, and I shot this, and I was like, you know what? This is 2 zooms, because it's the interaction with the janitor and Liv, and she realizes that she's in the cage with Cage. Like these animatronics are nothing compared to the janitor. I just love it. It's just my favorite moment of the whole movie.
Kevin, I think you just teased the next film, In the Cage with Cage.
There you go.
We haven't yet hit the basketball cage or the baseball cage, so maybe we move outside. I know we talked about this earlier. Kevin, you weren't here. We know that there's the shirts are sold out. They're amazing. But when can we see more, and when can we expect some of those, the other merch to start buying?
So I hear they're talking third quarter of 2021. That's the goal. So soon, it's exciting, right? I think, I'm such a pop culture fan, I still collect Star Wars figures and comic books and stuff. And the idea that people want to take something home from the movie, and with them and kind of have that piece that remembers them. I just think how cool is that for an indie film like this to get that, and that's a tribute to everybody here, from Emois and Ken and Dave and Gio, man. And we wouldn't be here without Gio, man. He wrote the script. So it's exciting. It really is. Kevin,
are you a Kenner kid? Are you like the OG Star Wars collector?
I'm OG, baby. Yeah. I'm OG.
Now, are they in the box, or did you play with them?
Both. I hate to say it both, but yeah. It's so funny because I even now have so neurotic. Like I have 4 kids, 2 teenagers and 2 little boys, 5 and 7, and I'll get them toys and they'll open and rip up the boxes, and I'm just sitting there going, "Oh, okay, I hope this is going to be worth something someday," But no, it's fun.
This Cabbage Patch Kid is going to be worth something, and then not worth something someday.
Like the Death of Superman comic, right? Where people would be like, "I'm going to pay for my kid's college,"
Yeah.
And they made too many of them. But that was another fun thing with Nick. He's such a comic book, fan, and I would tell him like, "Nick, this is Superman number 233," when he pulls out this thing, and that was like the shot when I boomed up the camera and he put the shirt on. Like I was like, "This is Neil Adams," and he totally got all of it. It was awesome, Everybody else like, what the hell is he talking about? He calls himself a director. What the hell? But it was fun, man. It was great.
The scene with we just saw where he kills Artie, it was always planned for him to pry his jaws apart, but to give Nick a little incentive, Joseph and I showed him the T-Rex fight with King Kong, not only from the original movie, but from the Japanese film King Kong Escapes.
He's right. Plays with him and puts him back in the box. I like that.
Yeah.
In fact, what's so funny saying that, a friend of mine made me a janitor 1/6 figure, and the 2 of them did it. I'll bring it up. I have it right here, and it's so cool because it was a surprise. I just got it like 2-3 weeks ago, and I actually did. I opened it up and I took the jacket off and I put the Willys shirt on, and my friend was like, "Kev, we didn't think you were gonna play with it. We just thought it would be cool." And I actually took me like hours, but I did it. So I'll have to show it. It's pretty cool.
Well, this is going to be another watch party film thread exclusive that you haven't seen anywhere else. So I'm looking forward to that. Alan wants to know if there's any chance the movie will come out to theaters or drive-ins. We've got 3 of them running here in LA.
Mm-hmm.
It's in theaters and select theaters all over the country,
Awesome.
and it is at drive-ins as well. I think that one of the things I think it's a blessing and a curse, because all of us would have loved to have been in a packed theater watching Willy's Wonderland, but because of the pandemic, it cleared the field on February 12th. So there was no other movie like this. There was no other competition for it. So when the movie went VOD, we got everybody's eyeballs on us. And I think that was a blessing for the movie. And one of the reasons it went so viral is because there was nothing else in town. Everybody had been stuck in their homes for a year and hadn't done a lot of fun things. This is something that we could all come together virtually for and have a blast. So, we all missed the theater experience, and it is. I'm disappearing now for a little while, but while we missed that theater experience, I think that the fact that we were able to all do it virtually was really cool.
This was fun. This was the last day of shooting, so we did this sequence, right, Dave, and then we did the Tito sequence, and that was the last day. So we finished Thursday with Nick, and then Friday we did that, and that was poor man's process. We were on a stage and driving with the lights, So we that's all. Yeah, it's poor. I hate to use the word poor man's, but when you're doing indie film, everyone's a poor man, right? So, but wasn't that fun? It was just great to really work on the scene and stuff. I love this. This is like Dante's Inferno. She's making a deal with the devil, So I want to make it just red, like Dario Argento, one of my favorite filmmakers,
Me too. Yeah, I was telling Kev I want the Evan action figure complete with Tito arms.
Yeah. All right, so I got to share that so far, that because I've also voice actor and I did a cartoon. So right now I have this pill from Korea. That's the only thing that's got my character on it.
Oh,
so I'm kind of daily vitamin for kids. So
nice.
Now you got to sell it as a non-fungible token.
Oh,
it's a good idea.
This was great. So Gio wrote this sequence, and it was like text, getting all the things. And I had these ideas of the camera swirling around or whatever, and we were just pressed for time. So I was like, you know what? We put the camera on a Ronin, and we just went forward. I said, you know, the editing will tell the story. So Rick is Tex, which he did an amazing job. He kept just switching outfits, and we'd be like, set, go, you know, and he'd take off, do another
There's
set.
Joseph and his wife
Yeah.
getting tongued.
Question for Gio: what's your favorite animatronic, and why?
Yeah, I answered it a little bit earlier. It was Ozzy, just because of his creepy neck, and that was the first one that I wrote when I was writing the script. He was the first one I described when writing the script. So Ozzy was always kind of my favorite. I also think that the trailer where the janitor beats up Ozzy was such an important part of the success of the movie, that even though Ozzy, you know, gets laid to waste early on, he was such an iconic person in that trailer that he's always kind of been my favorite. And I'm glad he got his just due, like kind of being the person like first through the gate to kind of spread the good word of Willy's Wonderland. So Ozzy is my favorite.
I like the sequence a lot. You know, Gio, I can't tell you how many people were like, this is not going to work. The janitor comes and leaves. You're not going to care for him. You know what I mean? And it just, I think it works so well.
It's supposed to be a joke, and it's played. It's perfect. Puts up his fist. His alarm goes off. Now let's watch this, because I'm watching it now. Looks at his watch. Thinks about it. Screw it. I got to play some pinball. She blinks at him. Here's the knife.
I love Emwa's score on this too. We cut it out, and then she's gonna raise the knife, and then the beat kicks in, and I just, oh, you killed it on this.
Thank you, man.
There you go.
She had to do some fighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Liv has to.
His shoulder. Yeah. There you go.
She's got to get her hands dirty. One of the arcade sequences, or the reason I put in the arcade, and I've told the story before, Nicolas Cage and I met 20 years ago at the arcade in Westwood when he brought his son to play some arcade games, and we were playing virtual tennis. I was playing with my friend, and at the time, you played. If you won, you stayed. If you lost, you put in 50 cents, or the next person was up. And I beat somebody, and then the next person up was Nicolas Cage. And this was like 2001, 2002. So Nicolas Cage was just like the action star of the 90s, and had just hit the pinnacle of all-time fame. And here he was playing like virtual tennis with me. I absolutely destroyed him. But one of the things that always kind of stuck with me was just this adult playing our arcade games. And so in the script, that's why the janitor, not so much the pinball, but likes to play games. Serendipitously.
I'm sure we could all agree that being adults getting to play with the toys we loved as kids is pretty cool.
And here we are at the hallway scene. Another quick thing, and Kevin, you could say something about it, but I just thought, like, why doesn't he just punch him out of his way? Boom. Why not?
I love it. I wanted to have like a shot on the side as we dolly down with him, that low angle, but that was a set built, and I really couldn't move the walls. So I just decided we put the camera on a Ronin and carried him there, and it turned out really good. This is great. This was fun because, you know, a lot of the movie is like single shots of the janitor and things and cutaways, and now we're getting everybody, you know, together. I mean, the kids were together, and I shot a lot of that handheld, you know, because I was trying to do some more improv with them and stuff. But this is more classic, you know, dolly moves and, you know, getting the coverage, just really working on the performance. And you guys killed it, Dave.
Thank you.
It was great.
Yeah, this was my big sort of like, I've got to tie up Nicolas Cage, and oh my gosh, don't screw up, don't screw up everybody. But he's so cool. He's just like, he's such a collaborator. He's so cool. You come up with stuff together. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Nick was channeling a couple things. Charles Bronson from Once Upon a Time in the West. That was a big influence, and Iguana and German Shepherd. He zeroed in on those animals. In fact, the first day I met him, he's like, I'm going to go to the zoo. And we have an outtake, which is amazing, where Liv's talking to him, and he's like, get back to the German Shepherd, get back to the iguana, you know? And if you notice, like, that hallway scene when he sees Tito and Siren Sarah and he hunches down like that. It's like German Shepherd, right? And so it was just really cool that that's what he kind of zeroed in on.
Yeah, when Beth and I kick open the door for this, he sort of, hits back like a dog ready to pounce. So it was, it was interesting. It was awesome to watch.
Was that a stunt double kicking in the door, or was that?
That was Nick.
No, that was us.
Nice. Lucas had an interesting question. Were there any teenage characters originally in the script but got cut out?
Nope. What you see is what you got.
I would assume, Gio, that that's part of the process of writing for what you think you're going to do yourself and what you can afford.
Totally.
As far as your budget.
Yeah, absolutely. Try and keep it as minimal of a cast as possible, even with adding the teens. But try and, if you think you're going to have to do it yourself, the less people that you can have involved as far as no extras, no big scenes like that. Try to minimize that as much as possible.
Now, this I would have loved if I could go back in time and do something. I would have loved to have had him like jump up on that table and do like a Stephen Chow kind of dance and move, and the animatronics are looking at each other like, what in the heck this guy's doing, and then and actually, Gio, in your script, it was definitely more action based, and I was boarding it out where like he pushes the chair and knocks one and then does a flip. I remember that, right? And it was like a little more wrestling, but with time constraints, I thought, you know what, the jukebox is the gag, the music's the gag, and I love the idea of him just taking them out quick. Like, we're building this whole tension up that this fight's going to happen, and then he ends it, and I just thought that was fun.
Shout out to Emois from Jasper.
Awesome.
So this was the coldest night I've ever experienced. This has happened. This is where I was
my friend.
Yeah. We had the windows down in the car, so I am chattering as we're going, and then I hear action, and then you just sort of lock in and go.
Were you on a process? Was this on a process truck, or were you driving?
So half of it was in the studio, so a stationary car, and then we took it to location and really sort of drove just a very, very little bit. I had a mark, so it was another thing. My big thing on this was just don't screw it up. So I had my mark, and don't go past the mark. So luckily I was able to hit it. This
was the last day of our shoot. This was February 28th, and we finished it and wrapped, and I got home that Sunday, March 1st. And we know what happened there in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. We just got it done.
Yeah, I have to agree with Cameron. The Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes was awesome just because it's a recognizable song. But then there were lines in there that I'm assuming you wrote that are never been part of the song.
No, that the lyrics are the lyrics to the song. Yeah, we just looking at that scene, I was trying to think what to do with it, and I'm sitting there staring at the screen, and you see, their close up on their heads, the close up on Nick's foot, all this stuff, and I started thinking, in a family fun center, because we wanted something cool, right? We wanted something cool, but it was also like what would be playing in a family fun center. It wouldn't be like a typical song you'd hear in a bar or something like that. So I was like, what if it was a very cool version of Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes? And it's really funny because that's what you're seeing, and now he's sitting on her head,
I love this shot.
Her fingers are moving and her feet, it just really goes with the track.
Someone wrote a dissertation on Twitter praising you about how it's head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and the janitor's arms are tied behind his back. That was very amazing.
Speaking of that, can any of you want to comment on the artwork that your fans have been sharing with you online? I was looking at your Twitter accounts, and it's amazing.
The fan art?
Yeah, the fan art.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, Amazing. Super awesome. I get so many messages a day for people they want me to call them as Willie. They want me to leave them a message as Willie. They want me to do just all this stuff. And you can't keep up with it, but I hate saying no to fans. You know what I mean? So, I want them to all get what they want. They're the reason we're here. They're what give us they're what drives us. So I try to do these contests to make it so it's something I can actually do, because obviously I'd be doing it, all day. It'd be my job all day, all year for whatever. So the latest one was this art contest, and man, just amazing. The artwork was incredible that these kids are doing. Loved it so much. Yeah.
We do Willy Wednesdays on Instagram, or have been for the last 6 months. There's probably, if you go to Instagram, search the hashtag Willy's Wonderland, you'll see over 5,000 pieces of artwork that people have drawn of the animatronics. Wow. And one of the coolest things that I think has come from it is there's a community of kids that have all banded together around Willy's Wonderland and become friends during the quarantine by drawing the animatronics and supporting each other's artwork. It's been really cool. And one of the things that I think that I'm most proud of is just this community of people that have come together to do this kind of cool artistic stuff.
Absolutely. They all know each other now. They all comment on each other's stuff. It's like a little family. It's pretty cool.
Has there been any talk of maybe doing like a podcast stories or an animated stories, anything like that?
I tried to pitch him on a Willy's Wonderland cartoon the other day. I tried.
It'd be pretty cool, actually. It would be.
My boys will watch it. They love it, man. They draw those creatures all the time. So, I mean, yeah, it'd be awesome to have a cartoon.
Yeah, they're just, the animatronics, not as, they're not as deadly. They're still evil, but they're getting into adventures every week. I mean, that would be a fun Saturday morning television show for sure.
Frank Gabriel did all the artwork for us for the cartoon Willy and the animated Willy and stuff, and he did such a fantastic job.
Now, besides Gio playing tennis with Nick, one of I think the coolest highlights of my life has been watching Nick dance to my song while playing pinball. It's pretty awesome.
All right, this is an awesome comment. Somebody thinks Nick Cage cleaning is the best visual ASMR ever. If anybody doesn't know what that is, I don't know what it stands for. It's basically when you just hear sound effects and sound production turned up really loud. Is it true, Kevin, that your sound designer is a multi-Academy Award winner?
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. His name's Paul N.J. Ottison, and he's worked with Sam Raimi to Roland Emmerich, and he's a very dear friend of mine. He's won 3 Academy Awards for Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30, and he told me, he would do this for me as a favor, but he actually really dug the movie. And that meant so much to me because, doing me as a favor, one thing, and, really enjoying it was another, and so we had such a great time on this, and I introduced him to Emwa. They got along fantastic.
Paul's the best. Amazing.
He is. Yeah.
Okay.
We're originally go ahead.
Oh, I had to ask about this dance. Was this something written into the script?
No.
Nick, that's all Nick. The whole idea was it's just like the Rocky moment for the janitor. He's leveling up. Okay, so he's going to now fight the big boss. And so we wanted that like Rocky moment. And so we put it in, and because I was like, I love the idea of him as he's fighting these creatures, he's playing the pinball. If you look at it, and he's taking them down one by one. And if you look at that scene, now it's time for Willy, and so that was all Nick. I put cameras. He came down. He was channeling Prince. He was just doing amazing stuff. And that night I told him, I said, "Man, you're the reason why I make movies. Like seeing you work is just incredible." People, the whole crew were clapping, and it was just awesome.
Was there music? So was there music playing on set when he did the dance?
No.
Oh, there wasn't. Wow.
No.
So yeah, my favorite thing in this whole movie is just him waving. It's always going to be my favorite scene.
Really? Is that your favorite scene?
Well, just because it's so absurd. She's got a shotgun on him, just locked him inside, and he just friendly waves.
Yeah.
We passed it up.
If I would have known that, Gio, we had him do it 2 more times. I should have put that in. It's like Gio loves the wave. We got to put him 2 more times. He goes back and
love the wave. God, I love it.
We passed it up a while back, but one of my favorite lines is David's when he goes, they're just a bunch of kids. I doubt we'll need to drop them.
Yeah, that's a great sign.
It's the best.
You're right.
I seriously, I worked on this movie for so long. Every single time I watched it like 10 times a day. Every time I got to that part, I laughed. It's awesome.
My favorite Evan line is Willie the dancing rat.
Yeah.
Just love that. Like, I read that in your script, Gio. I was laughing so hard. I was just like, it's just the best.
Another good one, David, that you say is, I think the term is protect and serve, Sheriff. Shut your mouth.
When you go shut your mouth, you're not funny. I'm like, oh, okay.
So I got to ask a question for Ken. Did you have any Jaws Steven Spielberg moments where your equipment didn't work or broke down?
No, I don't think so. I mean, in the Gus Gorilla scene, Nick got a little enthusiastic and punched him in the face, and the framework inside cut Billy the stuntman's nose, so we had to take a little bit of a break, and we couldn't get the eye working, but everything was going so fast, it was it was a blur of action. But overall, I think all of our stuff worked well.
Originally, this was going to be rain. It was going to be the sprinklers. And we just decided, shooting this movie and everything and shooting with water is a whole new, challenge. And so I was like, you know what, let's do the birthday. Let's do confetti. It's the birthday theme, right? And so originally he was going to hit the fire extinguisher and then the water comes down. But I was thinking, why don't we just do a birthday button, and having this Technicolor rainbow of confetti, and it's just.
I think it's a better choice.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And also, speaking of Paul Otteson, Paul is who warped the birthday song for this scene. That wasn't me. Paul warped it and made it all trippy for this, which he did a great job.
I saw a review and they said the movie felt like it was dunked in acid, LSD, and I thought, that's so cool, This is a great shot. So we do this like dolly pushing. You're thinking, okay, he's going to speak, he's going to say something. This is it. This is the moment, and he doesn't. And I just think that's great, because subverting the audience, and challenging and just doing something different.
Yeah.
This
Kevin,
is one of my favorite.
I know. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is one of my favorite music cues too. I called Kevin when we got to this scene, and I go, so I'm watching it, and I'm getting like a Return of the Jedi vibe. And Kevin goes, "That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. That's what I was thinking on set and stuff." Yeah. I'm like, because you feel sorry for Willie in this scene, like kind of in the same way you feel for Darth Vader when he's going down. So I tried to make the music a little bit more emotional. And it's I wanted people to really feel for Willie in this scene, and so did Kevin.
Yeah, there's a shot right here. It's a dolly. There it is. I totally lifted that. That was like the head-on dolly of Jedi when Luke's coming out with Vader. I just thought it was great, and we did a thing. We had like they're called lens babies. They like shift and tilt lenses, and they have the real blurring effect, and I just want to do something different. Look. Every fight scene in the movie, I wanted to have it different, something unique, because I was afraid it'd get monotonous, like he just keeps fighting these things and whatever. So I wanted to change the look up, but we're still doing the rage cage, as you can see, with the handheld and then the lens flares.
And the child's choir is the child's choir is the ghosts of the kids who have died in this place.
Yeah, very Danny Elfman, which was cool. Like we talked about.
The one thing that I didn't understand is why the janitor bagged up his pop cans to beat Willie up. I thought that would be a bad use of the unopened cans.
Well, maybe they're not carbonated, so.
True. Do you want to reveal what was actually in those cans? Or do we want to keep that a secret for future sequels and prequels?
Secret.
Okay. Plus, it'll give you a chance to release your own version of the drink.
Yeah.
Kevin, quick question. So you guys only had one take to blow the gunk onto the Willy's Wonderland backdrop?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that was it.
that must have been a hold your breath type of thing.
Yeah. So the last thing we did is we did Nick. He walked off. The last fight with Willy, that was his last day. He was done, and the last shot of that night was the gunk to Willy, and it was like, yep, one take. And they were going to wrap me up, man. I was almost going over, and they're like, you got to hurry up. I'm like, okay, so let's just get it, you know. That was one night. That was a tough night, but we got it all.
The cool
This was
thing
so cold.
After he was wrapped, Nick cleaned up and gave the whole crew an opportunity to get photos with him.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
During lunch, he basically took the whole crew was wrapped around, you know, huge line, and he took photos. And if you brought any merchandise from Mandy discs or, you know, Gone in 60 Seconds or any cool Nick Cage movies, he'd sign them. He did that for everybody. He's the coolest guy, man.
See, I would have had a DVD or a VHS tape of Valley Girl.
There you go. My favorite is Vampire's Kiss.
Wow.
So, I love that
I like
movie.
Raising Arizona, so.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
That's
great.
Yeah.
Wild at Heart.
The Rock.
Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
What's wrong with you?
A question for everyone is the Geo, is your little short film going to be released, and what else might be on the Blu-ray DVD extras?
I don't know what's on the Blu-ray DVD extras. Kevin might know the answer to that. The short film, I mean, I'll release it sometime. It's just like it's kind of a legendary thing. I think most people have seen the best parts of it that have leaked online. The short was something that I did to try and spark this whole thing. In doing so, it sparked something fantastic, and I'm really proud of that. But it seems now it would be overshadowed by something that's much, much greater than it. So I've just that's why I have just not put it out. Honestly.
The extras on the DVD, I think, like, there's a tour with Christian showing the set, and they've got the posters, they've got the trailer. There's like 3 or 4 things, a making of, which is cool. So I'll probably have a lot of behind the scenes with Ken, how he's creating the creatures. So there's some goodies on there. There's about 8 to 10 extra things on there.
Awesome.
And there's that extra scene where Evan just gets up from the ground and goes, "Oh, I'm fine. Fantastic."
Yeah. Exactly.
Deleted scenes.
Deleted scenes. This was a great sequence too. In the script, she said, "Can you give me a ride?" And it was kind of the same thing of you know, doing that nighty night scene with the zooms, and it just those looks with each other. You know what's good. You know. So that was fun.
Here's a exclusive for you. When I wrote the very first draft of the script, and this is before it was me, right, as the janitor. I was gonna have him make out with the girl, like at the end. And somebody read it, and it was like, this is completely unbelievable. So I was like, okay, if that's the one thing, we'll cut.
There you have another Film Thread exclusive.
There you go, Film Thread exclusive. That was like the first time I finished the thing. And the janitor and that lived, they were supposed to be like 25 and 19. It was not like 56 and 17. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
I love this scene because it feels like, to me, it's like you're telling these guys, all right, just pretend like they're having a blast, they're having fun. What could go wrong?
Yeah, I love these guys. They're so much fun.
So
I was like, I wanted to pitch Geo a prequel with just Tex and Jed. We should do that. I mean, I love these guys so much.
You know what? A lot of the fans have been talking about prequels and sequels. So,
Well, Sarah, you know, you just see her get blown off screen. Could she come back? Is she dead? Who knows? You know, that's just kind of the most horror movie trope. You had to have the number one. You had to make these guys pay for their sins. So obviously they're going to pay right here. But then you have to have some sort of survivor there to to carry on the possibility of more.
I want to give a shout out. The business guy says Freebird's one of his favorite songs. Thank you for whoever thought of putting in the movie. That was my editor, Ryan Liebert. He had something special for me. He's like, Kev, check out the ending. And I mean, I kind of teared up, man. I just thought it was such a great. And then I actually teared up too, because I was like, I don't know if we're going to get this. This might be too expensive, but no, we got it. And it's so cool to balance it with Emwa, you know, doing all the music. And then now we just do a classic rock song, you know. Just thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's such a departure. I mean, it just really, it has a whole different feeling. So it feels like a conclusion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Nick Cage's jacket from Gone in 60 Seconds?
No.
Okay.
Actually, really cool thing is I like that jacket. We were going through wardrobe. I said, I really like this. He's like, I like it too. And then he put it on and everything. And then he turned the wardrobe. He goes, can we get a red stripe just down here? And she's like, okay. I'm like, perfect for me.
Nice.
Of course, Tito being thrown in the air by the car was a digital shot, but the shot with the head sparking on the highway is not.
This was fun. This is like my shout out to like Woody Woodpecker, you know, Lance Cartoons and, you know, Warner Brothers. I just thought this would be so much fun to put at the end of the movie, you know.
Wow.
And the credits are done well too. You know, that they stand out as far as that purple backdrop and the shiny the shiny text.
Yeah.
The lens flare. It's got that lens flare too, right?
Like a disco ball.
Yeah.
Kevin, JR wants to know if all the rooms are going to be shown on the set tour.
I haven't seen the final cut of that. I know that he did. I assume he did that, but I haven't seen the final cut, so I don't know for sure. Hope so.
Well, what a great movie, and it's been a blast to watch it with you, and to have the fans be able to watch with you and share in their excitement. So while Kevin is going to get that little 1/6 miniature that he promised
right now,
let's go around the room. Ken, do you have any other projects you have coming up or anything you're hoping to work on?
Well, I mean, the Sorority of the Damned is in post right now, so that should be coming out fairly soon. Nothing else current on the effects end, you know.
Okay.
Also want to give a shout out to our line producer, Lorene Yackel, who has been a friend of mine for many, many years. And she helped get me involved in this whole thing.
Absolutely.
Yep. Wonderful. Emwa, anything you have, any projects you have coming up, either for film scoring, commercials, or any of your own music projects?
There's some things in the works that I'm not at liberty to talk about yet, but there should be some announcements coming soon. Very excited.
Maybe you can have a contest to tell one person in a future contest. David, how about you? Will we be seeing you on any more soaps or any other projects dressed as a cop?
Not as a cop, but you can watch me. I'm on this Facebook watch show with Will Wheaton. It's called Rival Peak, and it's sort of half game, half cartoon, and half another half live action. It's got the three halves there, and it's really cool. So you can play. It's very interactive. And then I'm one of the hosts on the WGA podcast called Third and Fairfax. We interview writers. So my interview with Judd Apatow is up there right now. I've got one coming up with Chuck Lorre. So some really cool stuff. And then like you guys, some stuff I can't talk about just yet, but some things in the works.
Did you notice Kevin just was like, wait, what? We're going to have to double your salary for the next movie.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
How about you, Gio? What are you working on?
Yeah, I'm trying to get this finalized getting this book published that I had written during the pandemic called Subway Dwellers versus Barnyard Oddities. It's very much, if you're a fan of Willy's Wonderland, you will like the humor that is in that book. And then you got another movie we're working on called The Treasures of Trap Manor, which is a fun treasure hunt in a haunted house. So those are the two projects that we're trying to get finished. So that's what's going on right now.
I hope that when Comic-Cons come back, I hope that we get to see all the fruition of all these projects
Yeah.
You guys are working. All right, Kevin, are you ready to reveal your 1/6 figurine of the?
Yeah, I am. This is from Scott and Mike. They did this for me, and so here's the box. Okay, and then.
Whoops.
There he is.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
And it's amazing because the bag of Punch Pops is full of Punch Pops, little cans.
Got all the accessories. And thanks, Bobby. I'm glad you liked it. That's totally cool, man.
Got the mop, got everything. So we got the janitor here. We got the jacket.
To scale.
To
Wow.
scale. We got it all, baby. Right here.
That's so cool.
All right. Before we go, we can stick around if you guys got time. Moi, somebody wants to hear the Willy voice. Are you?
Yeah.
Well, what do you want me to say?
Well, Vane Myers asked the question. So
Well, I guess since we're wrapping it up, I might as well just say, and remember, friends, the party never ends at Willy's Wonderland.
That's so good. So good.
very nice. Well, thank you again, everybody. Thank you to the audience out there for all your awesome questions, insights. Thank you, Joe, for sharing some additional insights from the production for all the fans. If you guys want to stick around for a second, Kevin and David and Ken and Gio, I'm going to say goodnight and goodbye to everybody watching. Thank you. Check out filmthreat.com for more podcasts, more interviews, articles about your favorite independent cinematic films. And don't forget about Award This coming up on April 10th. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.